Hello, fellow Factorians, and welcome back to my Pyanodons challenge run. During the last episode, I started working on laboratory instruments and got a build going for those. Then I was working on cocoons when I noticed I was depleting my supply of steam in my geothermal sites, which was a bad sign. So I worked quite a lot on shoring up my power system and went into hands-off mode, really unsure if I was going to make it. So the first thing I started doing was looking for more geothermal sites to set up in case I had a failure. That didn't happen though. Science went well, and my steam did eventually recover, and my factory was working full tilt. I can always notice when things are actually going well when I produce aluminum, because that means I have an excess of coal gas to send to my aluminum miners. So after I did not have the crisis that I expected, I worked on setting up a little build to produce cDNA, blueprinting that out. I do need a larger one, not for the cDNA, but for one of the intermediate steps. But I don't quite know where I wanted to site that, so I didn't put together the full build yet. Instead, I want the cDNA to get into Ralesia, which is our target this session. I also set up a bit more of my train rail system. I decided I wanted my diagonal tracks a little bit closer together, which was a big expenditure of time, but it also gave me a chance to set up intersections out to the future other octagons that I might set up. Anyway, I've got lots of things to do as usual. Maybe I should just stop saying that. It's just not worth saying, hey, I've got lots of things to do. Just say it when I've got nothing to do. But I really need to get into the episode, so let's jump in there. By the way, with some medical issues in the family and the holidays, my release schedule may be a little hit or miss for the next week or so, so please bear with me. Alright, let's get into it. I'm going to make Ralesia today. To make Ralesia, I need to make the flowers first. To make the flowers, I need flower DNA samples, which are made with a codex, generic Earth DNA samples, and 100 automation science packs. And then with that flower DNA sample and another codex, plus some cDNA and biosamples and planter boxes, I can make some Ralesias. And I'm going to need at least 6 of them to get going. 5 of them will be turned into seeds to start the process off, and then I need 1 to make a module. So, first let's go into hands-on mode. And I'm going to try and orchestrate this to move it as fast as possible, because I'd like to get the whole process kicked off with a couple of iterations of module creation before I go into my next hands-on off period. So let's start off making the flower DNA samples. First, it's I need a couple of codexes, 3 codexes specifically. I guess I can make 6 to just get this started. So the codexes, I think that was glass, tin cable, a couple of circuits. Let's see if I remembered it right. Oh, I did not. Oh, and some lamps. So I can grab the lamps from right here. I've been making a few to send over to make fish. And now I can probably make the codex. Right, there's 3 being made. And hopefully a couple more as this build is going. Alright, with that taken care of, I can start working on the cDNA real quick while those cook. I wanted that process to get started up because the cooking of the that Earth DNA sample takes a while. I needed to grab some automation science packs. I might as well grab a chest's worth. And then I need to grab some glassware and basic substrate, which I don't have stored up in a chest, but I've got tons of it coming down the line for Pi 1, so I'm going to leech off of one of my Pi 1 builds. So let's just deploy a chest, like out here. Alright, and I'll collect from there, and then If I turn off this research center, I should be able to just store up a bunch of basic substrate in a box right here with the way this build works. So I guess I will store extra. All right. And with that going, I can go deal with the biocrud disaster that I've caused myself. Turns out these Pi 1 builds do have a flaw, and if you feed them steam and never have fed them wood, but you did feed them petri dishes somehow, you can get a ton of biocrud inside of them. And I've got a bunch stored up in these chests now, and way more stored on the belts. So I'm going to take this and put this into my fish build. I've got a few chests set up over there to gradually dispose of them. Anyway, with that taken care of, I'm going to work on my cDNA build. And I'll be back after I've grabbed the buildings that I need to make it to talk through the process. Alright, cDNA. I'm going to set up my cDNA build in this gene area that I've created. I don't need a lot of cDNA, and it is a pretty complicated process, so I'm going to just hand feed it all and build the small amount that I need, and a bunch extra for future. But yeah, like I said, don't need a ton of it right now. To make cDNA, you kind of start off with, well, let's start at the end. It needs glassware, laboratory instruments, basic substrate, incubated petri dishes, biosamples, moss gene samples, plasmids, and retrovirus. The first 6 of these we've already got everything except the glassware and the basic substrate, which I'm borrowing from Pi 1, is located right near here, so I'm just going to grab it from the boxes I've been storing in it. The plasmids and the retrovirus we're going to make on site. So in an incubator, I make the retrovirus out of glassware, laboratory instruments, so more of these too, petri dishes, cocoons, steel, and hot air. And then the plasmids are, the first 2 ingredients are the same again, more incubated petri dishes and Zogna bacteria. And the Zogna bacteria is more petri dishes, pressurized air, wood, and lamps. So yeah, mostly this stuff is around here, which is another reason I'm setting up here conveniently. And I only need 9 cDNA to start off what I'm doing with Ralesias, so like I said, it's not going to be a lot, and therefore I am just going to hand feed, which feels like a reasonable solution for this particular case. I will need a lot more plasmids in the future, as I need them as an ingredient in the logistics science, but the rest of the stuff, yeah, very small amounts. I guess the Zogna bacteria I also need for making plasmids. And somehow I messed up the ingredients, or maybe I used up a biofactory to make something else. Sometimes that happens. You make a few of the things you need, and then one of the things you need subsequently actually turns out to require one of the ingredients you were going to build with. All right, so this is going to keep cooking. I've already got one of them. I just need 2 more, and I'm going to finish up building this build. I've got a couple of adjustments that I need to make, and then grab the ingredients that I need for it. So back after I've started off the cDNA process. You do need heat to run the incubators here, so I also need to wait for these to come up to temperature. Alright, grabbing that glassware that I was storing and the basic substrate, and I'll see if I've got some more biocrud that's been pulled off the line here. Probably a lot more. Okay. Oh, no, that was the wrong area. I had 2 biocred over in that one. Lots more biocred here. So yeah, this is going to take a while to empty itself out. So with all this stuff, I should be able to kick off the cDNA process. And yeah, I'm just going to have to keep watching over things and moving. Once I get the cDNA, I'll be able to make the Ralesia. Then once I get the Ralesia, I will be working on replicating the Ralesia so that I'll have enough modules for a future gigantic Ralesia build. For now, the bootstrapping area for Ralesia is going to be right here. So that's probably the next thing I'm going to work on while I wait for the cDNA to be made. First batch of cDNA is done, so I can start making the modules. And then, yeah, this is going to also take a while. Each step of this is like, oh, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. So, yeah, this is the DMV experience, I guess, of Pyanodons as you kick off these alien life recipes. So I'll do a few tasks around the base while I'm monitoring this stuff. First thing I want to do is make it a little bit easier to get glass down to my bootstrap area. So I'm going to adjust this slightly because I only had one inserter that was outputting glass for me. And actually I could do 2 yellow inserters worth from this build. So yeah, let me do that real quick. Next thing I want to do is start removing the ash system from my bootstrap base. Turns out I don't actually make any ash here. The only thing I could make ash from is being either put into outposts that are being sent over to the depot, and then everything else I can kind of just get rid of. So I'm going to work on kind of disentangling this whole ash system now. I have all the flower DNA samples that I need finished off, and also I've got enough codexes. So, oh, sorry, I mean, I have enough cDNA. I already had enough codexes. So really, all I have to do is wait for the modules to get finished over here. And then I should be good to go to... So I'm going to go set up that bootstrap area for the Ralesia. No, I want to wait till this nursery is free. Should only take a second to set that up. So yeah, I'm going to keep going with deleting the ash system from my base. Alright, and that's all gone. Another task that I wanted to do in the bootstrap area is I don't actually need both of these rail builds. I only need one side of it. I'm not making rails or consuming rails that fast, so this was a little bit too ambitious. I'm just going to get rid of it. So I got enough Ralesia to start off the process. I need 5 of them in here. 5 of them will make 8 Ralesia seeds. Oops, and I also need to not feed them to every different Ralesia build. That was a mistake. So I need to start the process off in just one Ralesia build that I can control and add a module to. So there we go with that, and now the seeds are there. Besides the seeds, I need soil and hydrogen and water. Like I have a seed missing. There it is. What I need to do is make sure, actually I'm going to turn off all of these. I need to carefully control this build to make sure that the seeds don't get added to the other plantations, and also don't get all pushed back into the nursery that makes the seeds. Otherwise, I might end up being stuck with only one module for a second round through. So now this will start going, and it's going to take a very long time because I've only got one Ralesia in there. But I can go and do some other things while I wait for this first iteration go off, and then I'll have 5 more modules to plant in here, because I get 10, but then I have to use up 5 to make more seeds. You get the idea. The wiring here, once I have this going well enough, the wiring here will control it and make sure that I don't take too many flowers out of the system, that the nursery is always going to get fed. Yeah, let's see. What other trouble that can I get myself into? Let's go clean up a few other things, like the oxygen line that I'd left running a while ago. And then, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing a few tasks and then coming back here to make sure the modules are reinserted and the process is sped up again. Let's look at my task list. I did this one. There was some flora miners, native flora collectors, that were set with a setting that was too low, so I was making spoilage. This one I don't need to do. I removed one set of the rail makers. I'm going to do this one later, and then I removed the ash system. This is another task that I want to do later. Make the automation science buffer output on both sides. This one is real quick, but I've noticed that sometimes it would be better if this output on both sides, like that. Speaking of outputs, I need to re-engage that 1pi1 build, so let's rotate this inserter back. Yep, that was slowing down pi1 considerably. Yeah. Next item, fix the cocoon spoilage output. So I made a mistake with these cocoon builds, and basically, I should actually need to run over there to deal with it as well. So as I was saying, I made a mistake with this. These cocoon outposts, or rather the cocoon makers, in as much as, oops, let's do this correctly, in as much as I didn't give them a way to delete their spoilage. So I need to paste this over here. So what I did basically was I set these to only output cocoons. They should have been set to put out everything except empty barrels. Now I can pass this over every one of these builds. Now they should start outputting spoilage. I also need to clean up the fact that a couple of these, because of cliffs, are not exactly the same as the others, and also have a way to delete any spoilage that gets put on the line, so I'll take care of all of that and be back shortly. Alright, and spoilage is no longer a problem with these cocoon builds, at least I hope so. I'm disabling this Mark II of Rauk build. I'm going to even steal some of these cocoons because, the sap trees, because I'll have a use for them later. But for right now, I think this has served its purpose, and I'm going to let the last of the native flora drain out here. Won't take all of these, but I could use the sap elsewhere as well as the sap trees. Might also fill in a few Rauk Mark IIs to keep my paddocks going well. There's still one research center that is tied to my Rauk 2 buffer amount, so might as well make sure that one is running. So I'm going to distribute out these modules and then find another task. So the next task that I want to tackle is that I'm going to make this iron build output its ash to my caravan outposts. And I'm setting this up in a kind of a goofy way, but it lets me set it up quickly, so that's why I'm doing it this way. What I'm going to do is I'm putting the caravan outposts after the solid separators, but then I'm wiring the solid separators so that they will test if the outpost is full of ash, and only then will they activate. I'm going to do the same for the ash outposts up here as well, or rather I will, in this case I'm going to replace the solid separators. We'll just make this a must use ash area. Alright, and then those caravans are set up, and this will give me a little bit more ash into my system that I don't have to make directly into Steam that is getting created anyway, so a little bit more efficient. And also, this iron build is going to be running more and more as the first iron patch is depleting, and also my base is using a little bit more iron to make things like special alloy. So yeah, this build is going to be running more often than it was before. Alright, let's go see if my Ralesias have completed a iteration. They have, okay. So I can use 5 of these modules to speed it up from now on, and then we'll have the seeds getting made. I can turn on this. Actually, I need to adjust this as well. This needs to count seeds, not flowers. Alright, and this one should execute a lot faster than that previous one. It's like I'm completely jammed on hydrogen, so I will start to output some of it. Let's bypass one of these, and then I can use one of them as a voiding area. We'll let the syngas run out. I'll fix it when I come back. Let's do another cleanup task and check my list. So I've fixed the cocoon spoilage output. This one is something that I want to do real quick. Add quenching towers. I can do this quick. And then I'll do these when I go down to the latex areas. Added ash collection to iron 2. I can clean up the oxygen line while I'm right here as well. No, I've already done that. What am I talking about? I've already cleaned up the oxygen line. I'm losing my mind here. Let's add the quenching towers that I'm missing. Alright, so that is done. So I've done... okay, the next item I want to do is I make excess carbolic oil, not using all of it to mine up stone. So I'm going to turn it into creosote. It's actually one of the most efficient fuels to turn creosote into. I'm also going to fix this zinc so that all of these many chests will eventually void out. At least, I hope so. Oh, wow, that's cool looking. I've created the wave. Yeah, Factorio's has these little moments of beauty that you can appreciate, and 2 free chests that I can take back. Alright, and this will mean that I can run my treated wood creation more quickly, as I've noticed that while I'm not having treated wood problems, that it's also not always filled up. So it'll help me make a little bit more treated wood, and it's a better use of carbolic than burning it. So let's see if I can go grab more Ralesias and then start on the next thing. Oh, wait. Before I do that, I need to fix one item over here, which is not that missing miner, but here I sometimes have problems because this is really fed by one stone line. I have problems where, because the stone miners hit this splitter, and sometimes it jams because I guess the ratio of stone to creosote, while it is 1-to-1. It's not always 1-to-1 exactly on the lines to make it work out perfectly like that for the splitter. Therefore, it'd be better if I did this so I have two lines that can feed the build over here. And that means that at the very back of the build, I'm occasionally having this stopping. So better if that build gets 15 per second exactly. And I'm going to have to do it to the other latex build as well when I get down there. So now back to the Ralesia. Alright, and that'll help me make sure that my oxygen keeps flowing, because I think boron trioxide filled up completely, and therefore I was stopped voiding all hydrogen pretty much. In fact, why don't you come back and fill up your cargo? And keep using up this precious can't speak right now, precious hydrogen. Alright, and I'm going to start this going automatically. Now this one will feed back and forth between the nursery. It will mean that the seeds, I get extra seeds, and it would be better if I kept hand feeding it for efficiency, but I'm not going to run here every time. So let's start on a bigger task while I've got time for it. Hopefully I've got time for it, because I'd like to keep those modules flowing. What's my time like? Not that great. What I'd like to start on is building another latex build out here. So I've got a little bit of time to do that and keep feeding Ralesia modules in. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll start with these sap trees over here. I need to make the same tweak that I did earlier to this latex output, where I need to feed it a little bit of extra stone. Unfortunately, I have some right here on site from the molten glass production, and that's going to help me to make sure that this latex build also runs at absolutely full tilt. So yeah, that should be it. Alright, let's go check my Ralesias again. Ralesias are going pretty well, almost ready to do another crop. I filled in some more modules, but I want to get that whole build humming, so I'm going to keep working on building things for that future latex build. I've got basically all the buildings that I need to finish off that latex build, but I don't think I'm going to run down there and do it yet. I'm almost set to fill up my Ralesia maker setup with modules, so I'm just going to do one more quick task while I wait for that to happen, and then I think I'll be jumping into hands-on mode, hands-off mode, of course. Needed to add a few more barrels to that one particular cocoon area. Now, if I go back there and can set up all the modules that I need to set up, yeah, I think I'll be jumping into hands-off mode, ready for AUGs next time, because they will take some Ralesias to start making AUG food, which is part of what I need to make to get that whole thing going. So I'd like to come back to a whole bunch of boxes of Ralesias all filled up in this build. So I guess I will clean inventory or something else. Yeah, just give it a little bit more time. There's one more task that I can do. I can go fetch the last of that biocrowd. Hopefully that build has emptied itself out completely. It should have done by now. Alright, all set now. As long as the circuitry works as expected, I should come back, yeah, to reasonably full chests of Ralesias. Probably not totally full, since those are steel chests now, but plenty to make AUGs with, and then continue making modules for a future Ralesia farm. Anyway, time for me to go into hands-off mode. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, sorry about the delay. I should be on a better schedule pretty soon. But till then, I will see you later.